Hey, let's talk, shall we? I am here with an old friend who has some big things happening. She is a 21-year Austin resident, UT grad, not one, not two, but three-time world champion. I want you to soak that in. Three times the world looked and said, this is greatness and you are the best, you're number one. This person also spent 9 years serving as chair and vice chair of the MLK Neighborhood Association, and that's just a piece of her East Side leadership. She's not done yet. There's more. Congrats on your induction into the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame. Wow, class of 2025 in October. That's incredible. You just don't stop. I'm blown away by you all the time. And Alexandria and I here, we share a love of service in East Austin, and she's showing up right now in a really big way. So introduce yourselves. Tell them what's going on. What's up?
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Alexandria Anderson. I have, as Alexandra has shared, been in Austin now for 21 years. I can't believe how fast time is going by. I am running for City Council District 1. And so for me, stepping in, and people are like, oh, this is brave. I'm like, yeah, but the more I think about it, it is brave because you're putting yourself out there. You're being vulnerable with people beyond just the vulnerability that I already share as a community leader. And so living in District 1, I call it the gym. This district has so much opportunity. It was where, when I came down in 2005, it was where I went to go to church, where I went and got my hair done, where I would go and play, where I would eat, where I lived. Some of the
Did you
girls
ever
on
go
the
to Hoover's?
I did, and some of the girls that were on the cross country team actually lived off of 12th Street, which is where I live now. And
I used to
so,
live off 12th.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I've lived in this area for 12 years, and I'm running because I want to bring transparency and fiscal responsibility, and most importantly, people first leadership to the district and to the city. And so the experiences I have had as a neighborhood organizer, as a community leader, is the driving factor of why I decided to get into this race.
That's tremendous. I'm so glad that you're doing it. I've checked out your site, and the 8 tenets of your campaign, people first leadership and intentional growth and system level planning, those really stand out for me. And I would think
Okay.
that it has something to do with real estate and also my work at Sadler Means, Bertha Sadler Means, named after the activist, as well as
She lives down the street, a neighbor. Well,
yes,
she's rest in peace, but her house
yes,
down the
yes.
street, a neighbor.
That and Ballet Afrique, which is on 11th, right next to Victory Girl.
It is.
It
Yep.
taught me so much about investing in people first always. So I couldn't possibly agree more.
Hmm.
So what does people first leadership really look like this season of growth for you, and with your years of serving the neighborhood directly, just like you've been talking to me about? How do you keep community voices at the center of policy?
Well, first, people leadership is looks exactly like what you're saying. It's putting people who live in the district first. It means being just as intentional about protecting the community as you are about like cranes and corridors. And so for
Mm,
me, it's about taking myself out of it. And that's how I've been doing it for the last 9, 10 years, taking myself out of it and asking, what is it that you want to see? What does the community need right now? And so I know, that as my neighbors and communities, I know how they're feeling. And so growth is inevitable in the city. Austin is booming. People want to come here. It's beautiful. I came from
mhm.
Chicago. I stayed after I graduated, but displacement and disconnection and distrust doesn't have to be a part of it. And so we're missing that piece of that city community, true city community collaboration. And so for me, it's like it is development without displacement. Like if we're building wealth in the city, longtime residents should be able to share in that as well. It
Understood.
is,
Yes.
yeah, it is planning with the community and not for the community. As chair of my neighborhood association and co-chair of my contact team, I get multiple cases, monthly, weekly, and I'm constantly asking, and my co-chairs and I, we're constantly asking when we get a zoning case in our areas. It's like, what does the neighbors want to see? What is important to them? What are some non-negotiables? What are some areas where they are willing to be more flexible? Is there something that is needed in this area? Say grocery store. Are we missing pharmacies? And the list just keeps going on. What are the community benefits? And so it's always leading with that lens. And then thirdly is we need to, the climate justice that protects the people. East Austin has historically been identified as to have some of the highest health disparities. Like I live in a
Yes.
78721. So you have 78721, 78724, 78741, 78723. And it's heat island effects. It's access to healthy foods. It's clean air. It's reliable transportation. And these are just a few things to just name. And if we're investing in sustainability in our communities, we need to put those marginalized communities first.
I couldn't
And
agree
then,
more.
yeah. And then lastly, it's like having East Austin be a priority, not an afterthought.
That's
And
real.
so, yeah, it is real. You have Black and brown neighborhoods, especially in East Austin, that have carried the burden of inequitable policies for decades.
Yes.
And yeah, and a people's first approach acknowledges the history and then invests it accordingly. So we know in East Austin we have food deserts. And a lot of times you hear it's like, well, we got to build before the grocery store comes. And it's like, why can't these things like simultaneously work together?
Agreed.
Um,
Agreed. I actually was telling people in one of my videos online about the 1928 Austin City Plan
yeah, we're
and
almost
how
100 years.
exactly and how East Austin came to be what it is and why this diaspora is that. And they intentionally did not provide certain services. This is all very intentional. And we're still reeling from those effects. I think that people will sometimes get a little bit uncomfortable. There's like a sense of guilt or frustration of, I didn't do this. Why am I carrying it? Be like, well, first of all, if you did do it, please tell me about your skincare regimen because that would make you 100 and something. And I mean,
100 years old. Let me tell you something. I
you're
want to be a
winning.
super centenarian. I keep
Yes.
putting out that I'm like, Lord, let me live to be like 110.
Yeah. So how do we explain to people that it is our responsibility, regardless of how this was set in place?
I don't think it's more so saying no one's asking you to carry the burden. It's just like what I just said. It's like we're acknowledging it and then you're investing accordingly. And investing accordingly is being in community. It's when your neighbors are walking down the street, say hello. You know, it is, and I understand everyone's capacity is different, but it's like community is the way that we're going to get to that. Because then if I understand, like for instance, when I moved into my neighborhood, I was like, I want to know if there's a neighborhood association. One, because my parents and my grandparents are part of their neighborhood association. So I was like, okay, this is where you're able to meet people. If you're new, you're able to find out what's going on in the area. You're able to find out what's happening in the city. And just so happened, one of my neighbors, Reverend Freddie Dixon, was driving down the street with his wife, Melanie. And they were like, welcome to the neighborhood. I was like, hey, neighbor. And he was like, you need to come to the neighborhood association. I was like, you read my mind.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
and then just got involved and have stayed involved because I'm like, I want to be informed. I was sharing with someone recently. I was like, council meetings are every other week, so resolutions, issues are being passed every other week that are going to affect you in some form or fashion. So we're not asking you to keep up with it every week, but have some, maybe one or two issues that are important to you, like housing or maybe infrastructure or climate or finance, or water, and try to stay up with that. And so our neighborhood, I knew the neighborhood email list. So it's when the meetings are. It's like this is coming up. It's sharing about what's happening with local businesses around. It's just being able to have a hub and a place where people can come and gather in person, but also through newsletters as well. So
That is
we
just
have
so
to build our
helpful.
community. We have to build our community.
That's extremely helpful. I don't think that many of us like often think of neighborhood associations, you know, like it feels further away, like generations away, and it shouldn't be. It's really good to know that there are things that everyday people can do to be involved with this, regardless of our capacity and bandwidth. That's something that changes, you know, and ebbs and flows all the time. So thank
And
you
it
so
ebbs
much
and
for that.
flows with me as well.
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
know and so I understand that people are human. I understand people are like, I got to pay my bills, I'm trying to put food on this table, I got to get my babies to school. And so then I'm like, I hold space for that, and I'm like, okay, well, at least let me give you the email that at least shows you what's going on, and then when you have the time, when you have that break, you can check out to see what's happening.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So I really loved whenever you said seeing East Austin as a priority and not an afterthought. That spoke to me. It really does appear that that has been the case historically, and turning that around is just, it's really what's needed. It's
And it's going to
something
take
that
all
needs
of
to be
us. It's going
accomplished.
to
It
take
takes
all of us.
all of us. That's incredible. And I was thinking about intentional growth. James Baldwin said, "The place in which I'll fit will not exist until I make it." You have achieved so much. Does any of that resonate with you? Do you find that that's been the experience for some Austin residents?
Absolutely, that resonates with me. As an athlete, as a small business owner, as a queer woman, as a community organizer, you are constantly making space and places for yourself. I've always looked, you know, outside the box, been someone who has approached things from a different lens and wanted to look at things like holistically. And so this is the experience of residents that live in Austin, especially East Austin. I think of, for instance, in you being yourself, a creative. Creative communities are constantly creating spaces and opportunities for each other. There's always some market, some gallery that's willing to show everyone's work, or some, pop up, whatever it may be. And so, and you know who else does that too? The queer community.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I think our goal shouldn't be to fit in, it should just be to feel empowered and showing up authentically as ourselves. So,
Yes, I love this encouragement. I think that we all need that reminder sometimes to go ahead, you know, especially now we feel a pull to conform sometimes out of fear, and it might be best not to, right?
yeah. And different lived experiences, different backgrounds just add to the soup.
They
And it's
do.
like
They
you're
actually
just
see
tasting it. You're like, okay, I need a little bit more salt, need a little bit more Tony's, a little bit more Tony's,
a little more
Lowry's.
Tony's always Lowry's.
You just need a little bit more seasoning to spice this up. And so that may come from your neighbor who is from New York, who has an understanding of transportation and live like I said, I'm from Chicago, so transportation is huge. That's how I got to school. I took the public transportation. $1.75 with your school ID, you got a discount. So I love transportation and know how it keeps people moving. And so you need you need a little bit of everybody, but you also need someone that is able to bring that to the table and bring those
I
people to the
understand.
table
See,
and be a guiding force for that.
that makes sense to me because like it makes sense to me because as a realtor I really hope to empower the community to ask a lot of questions. I want it understood that we do in fact have a place here, and I want to be able to direct them to resources that can make homeownership a more tangible thing. I think that for many of us homeownership feels like this exclusive club that to which we're not invited, and I want to help shift that narrative. And there are some income driven first time homebuyer incentives available. I can go into details about that another time, but it's called Right at Home with Cadence Bank. I believe
Okay.
that awareness, yeah, it's income specific. Awareness of these programs can kind of help bring opportunity for homeownership to fruition. You need somebody that knows a little bit of something that wants to share that with you, that is not trying to take away from you. Like, I
Or
don't need you
gatekeep
to
it, or
need.
gatekeep it.
Exactly. I do not want it gate kept. I'm not only willing to sell you a $900,000 house or a $2 million house. I want my people housed. There are ways
Mhm.
to get us roots here that we already have, but a little bit more securely so we can build for the future of each other.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So, for me, I since we're talking about growth, you know, and I see it's been that constant swaying of some people being for growth, some people not being for growth, and like I think it's the growth is not the problem. It's the growth without guardrails is. It's like the intentionality behind it. It's having an understanding, like I said earlier, of what's needed in each neighborhood in the district. And that may look different for, different areas. Like I said, all the way out in 130, towards 130, that's more of your rural area. But it's like, okay, we don't have a grocery store. They just got a clinic, Hornsby Bend. They have that, a clinic out there, but that wasn't out there. That was like a couple of years ago.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, and so it's what's important, like I said, in Central may have some similarities and differences than that of Northeast Austin. And so, in a city like Austin, especially across the Eastern Crescent, the question isn't whether development will happen. It's like, because we've seen it the last decade or so, and even before then. But like I think it's really
Mhm.
hitting people. But it's more about whether we shape the intentionality, so dignity and culture and longtime residents are centered in this process, because it should be the old and new. That's the flavor. You need Miss Sue down the street.
Yes,
You
yes, you
do,
do.
you
You do.
do.
Yeah, when I lived on 12th, I lived behind Miss Bobby. And she
Okay.
used to give us snacks all the time. She felt that I did not eat enough. And so, trust, every time I pulled in, she was coming out of the house. And
Yes.
that was amazing to me. I was new to the area. That's about 20 years for me as well. Uh, it was really, really important. And these things that we think are tiny gestures can lead to giant ripple effects.
Yep.
And you just spoke so well about, I was thinking about what we can do to make sure that development doesn't outpace dignity. This is how long it's been since I've chatted with you. Of course, all of these things are going to organically come up the moment we
Yeah.
have the second thing.
That's like my
you
friends get to
know,
laugh like, girl, I see you, but let's pick up where we left off, shall we?
yes, I'm so glad. I'm just so excited to have you. I think that I have a couple of more things.
Yeah, well, yeah, even if you want to talk about what that looks like with growing without dignity, while keeping the dignity in the culture, we could look at like we can lock in affordability, not just encourage that. But recently with the state led, you have the state law SB 840, where cities could require back then a percentage of affordable housing to be sold or rented below market rate, and that has been banned. And so that leaves only a limited number of exceptions, like density bonus programs, homestead preservation, and then developers can accept public, city funds. For instance, I don't know if you know what's happening currently now in the city. There's a lot of DB 90 cases. So density bonus 90, as far as 90 being how high, 90 feet, how
right.
high the can go. And
Hmm.
so that's a density program where developers are incentivized to add affordable housing, for more height. Yet the affordability level is different if it's being sold, the units are being sold, or if the units are being rented. And then the percentage goes down if the unit is being rented. So it's like, I believe it's going to be, I think you get like 12% MFI, so mixed family income, if it's being sold. And then you get like 10% at 60% MFI if it's being rented. Well, one, that's a low amount of renting. Say if you have like 400 units, you only get 40 of them out of 400. But then it's also too, it's like, so we are already struggling for true affordability, affordable housing.
Yeah.
And because the majority of the projects are going to be rental, the number of units is going to drop significantly. And so at the end of the day, it's like you're hoping too, based on this state law, that developers are going to participate in this zoning, because a lot of times they're looking to get the upzoning of their property to, tie into this program. But they don't have to provide affordable housing, you know. So,
Yes.
and I experienced it, and they can change it too, as well as if they want to. Like I experienced that off of 12th and Springdale with one development case in my neighborhood a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like stabilizing people while we build. It's planning for infrastructure before incentives. It's like requiring impact assessments to measure like displacement risks, not just, you only have to do like the traffic analysis
Required
impact
impact assessment.
assessment. Yeah,
I
having a
like
requiring impact
this.
assessment to measure the displacement risk, not just the traffic, because the only one they have to do now is just your traffic one. It's like, okay, if I'm building 200 units, is that going to change the traffic patterns or add to, what is currently there? And
Hmm.
then investing in public amenities in historically underinvested neighborhoods before the market pressure peaks, which a lot of people are saying for Austin, especially those areas that are in close proximity to downtown, especially, that window and that door is going to close and close and close and close and close. So growth should close equity gaps, not widen them.
Did you hear that, people? Growth should close equity gaps, not widen them. Let's keep that in
Yeah,
mind. That is that's so much information that I'm going to be
it's a lot.
obsessing over for the next several days. If not like for the rest of the evening, I'm going to be roaming around the house just ranting about it. But I've got to tell you how excited I am to learn through your campaign about how thoughtful zoning updates, like you said, and district specific planning to protect quality of life can work. That is so beautiful. Thank you for giving me that data. I didn't have that. It's not just around, it's very,
Mm-hmm.
everything seems hush hush about that. And I am a realtor,
Mm.
you know. Um, but it's really, really exciting to have people like you fighting for everyone. And again, not once, not twice, 3-time world champion. I hope that you can appreciate the kind of dedication, the kind of grit, the kind of
Oh,
discipline, the kind of discipline required to exist in that kind of body. And that's just the physical self. Don't get me started on how you live, how you treat other people. It's just so wonderful, Alexandria. Thank you so much for being with us.
no, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this, like, conversation. I could talk about this for hours. I
Yes, I
have.
know, and so have I. And I put up little clips on my Instagram, they're like 2 minutes, but honestly, I want to speak a lot more and at length, at depth about many things. And doing this with you is just I feel nourished by it, and I
Oh, I
really
appreciate that.
appreciate it. So where should we go to plug in and stay informed? When can we hear from you next? And do you have any words of wisdom for the community?
Oh, so many great ending points. I appreciate that. You can always stay plugged with me on my website, which is www.alexandria for Austin. So it's AlexandriaForaustin. Yeah, .com. Um, and then on my social media, IG is Alexandria_for_Austin, and Facebook is Alexandria for Austin. TikTok is Alexandria for Austin. I am so excited about getting out there in the community and talking more about the issues and the possibilities of District 1. So I guess my ask would be to your audience and just to people that are going to have the opportunity to view this to invite me to your meetings. Y'all see, I like to talk, but I will be doing a lot more listening because that's that's what I want to do. But invite me to your meetings, invite me to your events. And if you want to do that, you can reach out via email for Alexandria for Austin at gmail.com.
That's good to
And
know.
so, yeah,
It's
I
good to
don't
know, you
bite.
guys. If you need her at your events, reach out to her via email. Alexandria for Austin at gmail.com is where we're going to reach out to her so she can
But
come and
go visit that
invigorate us.
website.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You're so much fun. Like we're not in the same building, but Alexandria is the kind of person that you get a contact invigoration from just by knowing that she exists. So you're lucky to meet her if you get to invite her to your events. You definitely want her present. Thank you for everything, Alexandria. And I hope to see you soon. Let's get food. Let's get coffee. Let's do all this
No.
stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Alexandra. And thanks for listening, y'all.
Yeah. Bye, guys.